What's up, everybody, and welcome to the NBA Hardwood Live Show. I'm JSU. I'm your host today. Sunday, we're bringing it on strong, and I got my boy Titletown to do it with. Title, what's up?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I've done an NBA show with you all year, so this is nice to hop on. I mean, I always listen to the countdown show with Holden. You've been crushing tournaments. I'm more of a cash player, so I think we got a nice 8-game slate too. So excited to dive in. We are waiting for some injury news. On the Cleveland side, they're the first game. Garland and Sexton are questionable, so that's pretty big news. We didn't get Mo Bamba news. We did get Okiki news that he is out though. So we'll talk about news as it comes in, and then if it's not on the show, we'll be in Discord, core plays and stuff, breaking it all down too.
Yeah, for sure. And before we get into it, guys, hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're not, so it gives you a heads up when we got these free shows that roll out pretty much every day, Monday through Sunday. We got baseball shows. We had a baseball show earlier today. We're going to keep going with it. We'll have NBA shows, MLB shows all throughout the week, this coming week. So make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. And yeah, Title, you were talking about it a little before. A little tilting. We didn't get the Mo Bamba news, but that game starts at 7. So we're going to get it, right? It's not like we're not going to get it before the slate locks. That is the good part of that, us not getting that news, is we know we're going to get it. I'm sure maybe he just needs a little test on the floor before So he's a true game time decision in my mind, because he has to actually probably go out there, give it a test, see how it goes. So that'll be interesting. Chuma Okeke is out, though, which is pretty big news, I would say. And why don't we start with that game? Because I think this game is going to be a big one for DFS just because of all this news. And if we get Mo Bamba news during the show as we go, we'll just come back and talk about how it affects. But for right now, let's just say Mo Bamba's in Title for right now. And what does it do with Chuma out to you when it comes to cash games? Are you locking in 2 to 3 Orlando Magic guys? Does it just bump up one guy specifically to you? How do you take in that news?
Yeah, so Mo Bamba, if he plays, I have a lot of interest in him on both sides. He's 5K on FanDuel. He's 4.5K on DraftKings. He's just a very good fantasy point per minute producer when he gets the minutes. 24 minutes 2 games ago, 22 minutes the game before, over 30 DK points both times. Chuma Okeke, he gets a bump too with Okeke being out. So Bamba gets a bump with Okeke being out. The slate doesn't have a ton of value. We don't have certain teams that aren't playing anybody where we load up on 4 or 5 certain players. So Mo Bamba, 4.5K. I really like that price tag on DraftKings. 5K, I still like the price tag on FanDuel, where center isn't the best position. But outside of him, I don't see any other plug-in plays on Orlando that I'm just going to lock into my cash lineups for sure. Terrence Ross, 6.4K on DraftKings. It's like, yeah, I mean, I like him in tournaments and stuff, but 6.4K for Terrence Ross when they got a lot of young bodies and stuff too that they can mix in, that's just a little steep for me. So on the Magic side, Mo Bamba is the only one that I'm really locking in cash games on DraftKings, and then him and then Zubac's a really good play on FanDuel too. So making that decision. But like you said, we got to wait for the news. He is there. It sounds like a true game time decision if they already ruled Okeke out and nothing about Bamba. So definitely have to look at, monitor that news, but we will get it, like you said.
Yeah, for sure. And Kem Birch, if you guys didn't see, he's out. He went to Toronto. They let him go pretty much, waived him, whatever. And he's in Toronto now. And so that's just one less body. And now if Mo Bamba's out, I mean, this is just clearly, Wendell Carter Jr. is going to play as many minutes as probably he can handle, right, with all those guys, if Bamba is out. And I just want to make this, we didn't say he is out. He is still questionable to play. We didn't get that news. Chuma Okeke is out for anyone. I just wanted to make sure that that's clear. But they just have no other bigs, right? Otto Porter, who plays that 3-4 position, he's out for this game. Jonathan Isaac's been out for a while. Chuma Okeke plays the 3-4. He's going to be out. So, somebody else has to get the bump here. Now, James Ennis, for whatever reason, they're going to keep rolling him out there for 30 minutes. I don't know why. Why are you playing James Ennis over some of these younger guys? Get some of these younger guys some run. RJ Hampton, I know technically they don't really play the same position really, because James Ennis can play that 3. RJ Hampton's more of a guard, but like this dude needs to get on the floor and play some more minutes, in my opinion. I don't get it. But to me, they have so many guards, Title, and it's kind of hard to choose the way they're running out these guards because like Cole Anthony's getting like 25, 26 minutes, which is fine. But he's 5,100, right? And Michael Carter-Williams is getting, lower 20s minutes as well. Does one of them get a bump? Because with all these minutes, if these guys are out, like Chuma and Mo Bamba play big minutes, those minutes have to go somewhere. I think one of them might get a little minutes bump.
Yeah, so if Bamba's out, Wendell Carter would be an absolute smash play. I mean, whenever he gets minutes, he does very well. He'd get over 30 minutes, you'd think. So he definitely would be my favorite there. But the thing, like you said, with the guards, I mean, Orlando's rotation is very annoying where you don't like no one's stable for 35 minutes or something. And because the Magic were they had so many injuries recently, DraftKings finally has them priced up right. Like James Ennis at, what is he, 5.4K on DraftKings? Like, man, I can't click that name for 5.4K.
But if you want 35 minutes, like if you said to me, JSU, I need the 3 Orlando Magic guys that you think are gonna play over 30 minutes. Well, the first two, if Mo Bamba's out, the first 2 guys I'm plugging in would be Wendell Carter and James Ennis, because I think those are the 2 guys I for sure think get over 30 minutes. After that, I think it's a crapshoot because I do think that somebody else has to play minutes, whether it's they don't like giving Terrence Ross a ton of minutes, even off the bench when he's shooting well. He gets 31, 32 if he's shooting really well. But they like to keep his minutes somewhat down, but maybe they're going to have no choice. Maybe Michael Carter-Williams is going to have to play more, but God, it's tough. I really like Terrence Ross in this matchup. 3-point shooters against Milwaukee. They defend the rim really well, which leads to more 3-point shots from the opposing team. And Terrence Ross is one of those guys. He's streaky hot in tournaments. He's perfect for tournaments, right? He's coming off the bench. So for that reason, he should get a little lower ownership. And but that's really it.
That's my favorite one too. If I had to pick one, it's Terrence Ross. I mean, James Ennis could play 36 minutes and get you 15 DK points. I mean, he's more of an exercise guy than Terrence Ross. He's coming in, he's chucking it, whether he's 0 for 11 to start the game or something. So yeah, I mean, it's Mo Bamba if he plays for me, Wendell Carter if Mo Bamba's out, Terrence Ross would be my second favorite Magic. But I'm not as high on the Magic, even with the injuries, just because the rotations are so unknown.
Yeah, no, I understand
the prices are high.
It makes sense. From the Milwaukee side, we got to have a little interest, right? Giannis is doubtful to play. I mean, he's probably not going to play, right? So, but he's doubtful right now. Everyone else is probable to play besides PJ Tucker is out. So everyone else is probable. What are you looking at here right now? Sticking out to me, it's like I see Dante DiVincenzo under 6K. I don't mind him in tournaments. Bobby Portis' price has gone up, but I still think you could play him. What do you think of these Milwaukee guys?
Yeah, so I like these Milwaukee guys a lot. I mean, without Giannis, their best player always has the ball in their hand. They need guys to perform and step up. Bobby Portis has been very good. 6.3K, I'm fine. I mean, that's still too cheap for me without Giannis. Just a huge role on this team. Very good scorer, rebounder. So I like him on both sides. Chris Middleton, I like on both sides. I know he's been very disappointing. I mean, 6 for 27 a couple nights ago against Dallas. I mean, that's very hurtful. But without Giannis, and if a guy can shoot 27 times, I mean, it's hard not to play him in cash games. 8K on DraftKings, 7-8 on FanDuel. I like him. Dante DiVincenzo, I like on both sites, like you said. But I do rather him on FanDuel where you have to play 2 shooting guards. And shooting guard is in a very good position today. So 5.8K, I like Dante on FanDuel more than DraftKings, but I think he's a very good tournament play in DraftKings because he'll be lower owned. And then Drew Holiday, he's 8.7 on FanDuel. He's 8.2 on DraftKings. I like that DraftKings price way more, but point guard, the point guard isn't great either. I mean, Kyle Lowry's questionable, who has a very cheap price tag on FanDuel at 6.3. But if he's out, there just isn't too many other options. So Drew's in play on both sides. 8.7 is a little more expensive than I want, but just because the point guard position isn't very good. Outside of them, I'm not going to play Brooke Lopez or Pat Connaughton or stuff like that. I'm going to stick with the main guys.
Yeah, that makes sense. Chris Middleton, For me, I'm probably just going to stay away from him. He's going to end up being popular again. He's small forward eligible, which is nice, but I see another guy in that small forward range that I think I can pivot to in tournaments. And I don't know. The shooting numbers are there, right? Like he took 27 shots last game with Giannis out that he played. But man, I struggle to play him. I prefer Drew if I have to choose between one of those two guys. And I mean, it's not like the Magic is like some great matchup either on the other end with all these guys out. So I like Dante, I like Drew, and then I guess Bobby Portis would be my third. And that's what I'm looking at for Milwaukee.
So what about FanDuel when there's a $900 price difference? Would you still take Drew over Middleton there? I know it's different positions too,
well, that's the thing is the build is different, right? And for point guard, the problem is on FanDuel is I want to know if Kyle Lowry is going to be in. I think that's huge on FanDuel because if he's out, it just takes another, I would say solid point guard play. It takes it off the board, right? Kyle Lowry is 6.3K on FanDuel. Drew Holiday's 8.7. So if it takes that play off, now maybe I want to really get up to Drew because I don't really like a ton other options. Also, Darius Garland, another guy I would like in this matchup if he plays against New Orleans, but I don't know if he's going to play. He's a game time decision. So on FanDuel, I need some news on some of these other point guards because the way it's looking on FanDuel right now, there's one cheap guy that we'll get to that I don't mind, but I need some of these mid-tier guards to be in, or I'm going to just play Drew, I think is my mindset on FanDuel. But
makes sense.
Maybe Garland gets in. Also, too, in the chat, they were saying that Orlando signed where is he? Devin
Devin Kennedy and Dante Hall and Robert Franks, who can play. Yeah, B-Nair said that, Brandon McNair.
Yep. So, I mean, listen, we have to wait on starting lineups. Maybe one of these guys ends up cracking the lineup if, with these guys possibly out. Chuma's out, but Mo Bamba out too. Maybe they have a role. We'll see. Would it be their first game title?
The starting lineup did come out I see the lineup. Magic will start Carter Williams, Bacon, Harris, Ennis, and Carter. Wendell Carter.
Okay. So Gary Harris is going to start. I will continue. Oh man,
3-8.
3-8. I will continue I will never play Gary Harris. Even 35 minutes of Gary Harris, I don't think I'd rather pay for Ennis, I think, than play Gary Harris in this spot. But I mean, that's just the bias towards me, but he is cheap, right? He's 3.8K. He's starting. It's against Milwaukee, and I do like guys that can shoot against Milwaukee. My issue is, man, he struggled to shoot. The 2 games, 2 for 10 his last time out. Now he had 18 minutes. It was nice that he took 10 shots, though, right, Title? But, man, I just feel like it's 30 minutes of watching Gary Harris, stand in the corner, get some open jump shots, but do not much else, right?
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, we'll get to some other value like Clippers. I think Luke Kennard's like 3-7 or something around there. I'd rather play Luke Kennard than Gary Harris, I think, as of now. I'm with you. Gary Harris doesn't really – I'd play Gary Harris over Ennis, I think, just because of the price difference. But like I said, I don't like this Magic team a lot outside of Bamba if he plays and if he's out, Wendell Carter.
So Izzy in the chat saying Gary is better than Ennis. Izzy, I've watched Gary Harris play like 38 minutes in so many games and give me like 15 fantasy points. It's just like ingrained in my head that but again, there's a bias in that take though. And I will give Izzy and the people in the chat it's a bias because I've been watching him do that with Jokic and MPJ and Jamal Murray. And that is true. So if you want to go with that point and say JSU, that's 38 minutes with those studs, not 38 minutes with these scrubs, then I will give you credit. You are right for calling me out for that. Ennis is garbage. I do agree that Ennis is garbage. It's garbage that, again, he's going to see 30 minutes. It's garbage, though. I agree. The only guys that I really want to roster in this game are Terrence Ross, Wendell Carter Jr. Just to make that very clear for people, maybe Michael Carter Williams if I was like MMEing, because I do think there is a shot that maybe he could see a few extra minutes, right, with some of these guys out. But I don't really like attacking the guards because I think that's where they have enough guys to rotate. So Mo Bamba's in. Tyler Robertson said in the chat.
Jeremy Grant's out.
Jeremy Grant is out as well. All right, so we're getting some news. Why don't we move on? Oh, well, Mo Bamba being in title. Before we move on, does that put him in play for you for cash? Is he not a cash play, just a tournament play? What are you doing?
No, I think he's a cash play on both sides. 4-5 on DraftKings, 5K on FanDuel. Even if he gets 22 minutes, I mean, he's a very good fantasy point per minute producer. So I think he's in play on both sides for cash games.
All right, I agree. I like Mo Bamba here, can stretch the floor against Milwaukee. I like a big who can stretch the floor and also get it done kind of on the block if you need to. So yeah, I think it does hurt Wendell Carter Jr.'s minutes upside a little bit as well.
I agree.
You know, it would be interesting. I doubt they would play those two together. But you never know with all these bigs out, and Milwaukee's without, you know, Giannis, which is their main size, but they still are going to probably run out there Bobby Portis and Brook Lopez to start, you would assume. So that's some decent size. Bobby Portis is going to eat up James Ennis, who probably ends up guarding him. Bobby Portis is a really strong play. You know, so that's going to be interesting here, especially with Brook Lopez, who sits at the 3-point line. He's going to get opportunity down low and on the offensive glass. Whoo, that's going to be interesting for Bobby Portis. But let's move on. We've talked about that game for like probably almost 20 minutes. So
well, we just got more. We just got more news for this next game. Garland and Sexton are out.
Perfect. That's why I didn't start with this game, because I really wanted that Garland news. So we got it. Garland and Sexton are going to be out for this game. I mean, that's huge news. They're already without Larry Nance. Jared Allen, he's still out. You know, Kevin Love, I wouldn't be surprised if he just played like 15 to 20 minutes in this game. Again, just kind of sat out. Maybe they hold him back a little bit more, which that'll be interesting. But either way, I don't really like Kevin Love in this spot. I hate attacking bigs title against this New Orleans team when Steven Adams, Zion, Brandon Ingram are all in there. I just don't like it. I really like the guards. So I can't wait for us to get a starting lineup and see who the heck they're going to start. Is it Delly, which I would assume he'd be one of them that starts, but what do you think of this news?
Yeah, I mean, this is really big news. Again, we just got it, so we're just going to be breaking it down on the fly. If stuff changes, we'll let you know in Discord and all that stuff later. Hartenstein, I'll mention him even with before the news if the two were in. Hartenstein's a very good play on both sides, 5-6 on FanDuel. He's 5-2 on DraftKings. Not only is Garland and Sexton now out too, but Jared Allen is already listed out. Larry Nance is out. Dylan Windler's out. So they don't have a ton of bodies. Maybe this makes more the Cavs chalk, 3 or 4 of them, which, man, I don't love the sound of that, but they need guys to play minutes. I like, Isaac Okoro, 3.9K on DraftKings, 4-1 on FanDuel. I hate saying that name ever since the first day when he played 40 minutes and got 3 fantasy points in overtime. It's like Gary Harris for you. There's something in my mind that is not an Okoro guy, but he's gotten better throughout the year. They need him to play minutes. So I like him, I guess, for value. Taurean Prince at 5.1K on DraftKings. He's been shooting the ball very, very well lately, and they're just going to need him to score. They don't have a lot of guys, so I like him. Kevin Love at 6.5 is a little more expensive than I want to pay, I think, just because I think the Pelicans absolutely blow out Cleveland now. And why would they run Kevin Love out in a blowout in the fourth quarter? Maybe they do. I don't know, but I'll take my chances against that for that price tag. And then, Matthew Dellavedova. I mean, 3.4K on DraftKings, min price, 3.5 on FanDuel. I assume he gets a starting nod, 30-plus minutes, you think. I mean, he's in play for value. I don't love rostering Dellavedova, but hey, they need guys, they need minutes. So, yeah, these Cleveland guys are definitely in play. But Hartenstein still is my favorite on both sides without Nance and Allen.
Yeah, and before I get to this game, we just got news confirming that the Bucks are going to be without Giannis Antetokounmpo and everyone else pretty much from the starting lineup. Drew, Middleton, Dante, Lopez, they're all in for tonight. So those Bucks guys are good to go here, but Giannis will be out. He is the only one.
Yeah, I guess a couple more. Like, we don't know the starters and all that stuff yet, but like Jetty Osman, he's 3-6 on DraftKings. I mean, I don't know what they're doing with Damian Dotson's minutes. We saw earlier in the year when a couple people were out, he started in the point guard role and played really well for him, but they seem to have got away from him in the rotation and stuff as much. I'm just going to wait for a starting lineup, see if any beat writers or something are saying stuff. But I mean, there's a lot of unknowns with Cleveland. We haven't seen all these guys out in the past.
Yeah, and Dwayne's in the chat. He says he likes Love, smash play today. He played in the blowout last night. Still, though, Dwayne, he only got 21 minutes. So maybe they wanted to get him to that like 20-minute mark, 21-minute mark or something like that. Which is fine. Like if the game stays close, maybe he gets his 25 to 28 minutes title, which that's fine for Kevin Love. He's 6'5". He's not 5'5" or 5'8" anymore. His price has gone up a little. It's just not a matchup that I love to attack, but I understand what you're seeing. You're seeing pretty much the two main ball handlers and scorers are out, and they're already without so many other guys that, maybe Kevin Love is forced into minutes, and you might not be wrong there. So it's not that I hate it. I just think it's a matchup I don't like picking on, and on top of it, his price is starting to get up there. But I understand the love for some Kevin Love. CD Osman, his minutes have been going down, but I assume, he gets some more run here. Isaac Okoro, just like you said, right? It sticks in your mind when you play a guy at like 3K and you hit the minutes of like 35 plus minutes and he gives you like 10 fantasy points. You'll never forget it. So, but he's going to play a lot again. Title 3.9K. He's going to get a ton of run. The question is going to be the guards. I want to see who they start.
Dotson just got downgraded to questionable too. So this is crazy.
Yeah, the guards are going to be telling for who they start. Do they start like Broderick Thomas, who they've given some run to in the past? He hasn't gotten much run lately, but there was a little stretch. Against Lakers, Sacramento, Utah. He played 20, 31, 27 minutes. That was like a week or two ago. He hasn't got a ton of run the last week or so, but he's 3K. Maybe he gets a spot start. If Dotson's questionable, maybe he's possibly out. And then it's Delly and Quinn Cook, right? So it's Delly, Quinn Cook, Broderick Thomas, and CD Osman are like their guards pretty much, I guess, right? So that's going to be interesting. Wait for the starting lineups to come out. If they come out during the show, we'll come back to that side and talk about it. If not, we'll talk about it in Discord when it comes out. From the New Orleans side, Title, do you see anything you like on the New Orleans side?
Not really. I mean, now that we have this slate's pretty condensed now with now this Cavs news, the Bucks are in a really good spot. We still have other injury news and stuff. We're waiting for more. So you'd have to lock in people in the 7:00 games right away, which will limit some of your flexibility in the later games. So if I play anyone, it would be Zion at 9.4K, I think, on DraftKings, 9.7 on FanDuel. And that's just because now we have so much value where salary doesn't matter as much. You pay up for the raw points. I mean, I think Zion's going to dominate this team, but he could only play 3 quarters since I don't see Cleveland keeping it close. So Zion in tournaments, but I don't love this side.
Yeah, Rick says Quinn Cook not on FanDuel. Leave it to FanDuel to just not have guys in their player pool. It's just classic FanDuel for you. That's what you get when you go to FanDuel. Chris in the chat asked me for my thoughts on Isaiah Hartenstein. Hartenstein. I don't mind him as much, and I know I said I don't like picking on the bigs as much, but this game could get ugly. I could see it getting ugly very easily, and if that's the case, then possibly maybe some of the guys that I kind of fear and don't want to match up with, like Steven Adams and Zion and all those guys, they might not play as much. And Hartenstein might play a little more against the scrubs. And I like him a little more when he's against the scrub. So he's the one Cav big that I think I'm going to have the interest in, because he's going to get like in my opinion, he's going to get like his 22 to 25 minutes. Because this game's going to get ugly. Like it has to.
Yeah.
And, Hartenstein is going to get some extra run. I don't see them pushing Kevin Love past, 20, 23 minutes. So he's going to have to play a ton, and I like him there. So I like it. He's going to get time against the starters, but he's also going to get time against the backups. So, yeah, I'll take some Isaiah Hartenstein at his price tags on DraftKings and FanDuel. From the New Orleans side, I completely agree. I don't see really anyone that I want to roster here. The studs are priced up enough where I'm just going to look away. Maybe if you think it's like a crazy blowout, a guy like Jackson Hayes, but he's 4K. Like I wish he was like in like 3K or 3.5, something like that. But he might get more run, being that it could be a blowout. So he's someone. Kira Lewis, 4.2. Yeah, it's just I'm probably not going to go here with New Orleans. Let's take it to the next game: San Antonio versus Dallas. Title, we'll start here with you. On the San Antonio side, finally got a decent game out of DeMar DeRozan after I feel like a long-awaited couple stinkers in a row. He finally gave us 47, 24 points, 12 assists, which it felt like at the beginning of the season he was doing that, maybe not every night, but he was doing that somewhat consistently, where he was having some solid assist games and giving us, in the 20s for points. And then he just hit, like, in my opinion, a kind of just a downtime the past few weeks where he's struggled. He's had a couple decent games in there, but a lot he struggled and the team struggled. What do you think of the Spurs and then obviously the Dallas side after?
Yeah, I mean, we spent a lot of time on the first two games, but that's because those are two of the more important games I'm going to target now, where a lot of these other games I'm just don't have a lot of interest in. I'm not playing any Spurs. I think they're a very easy fade today. It's a 220 total. I mean, there's just other better spots with better value, I think. And then on the Dallas side, I'm only interested in Luka. 10-2 on FanDuel. I like that price tag at point guard. That isn't very good. And with Lowry uncertainty and stuff, I like Luka as a spend up. 11K on DraftKings. I don't love that price tag as much, but now that we have all this value, I mean, maybe we just play him for the raw points and move on, like I said earlier with Zion. So Luka's the only one in this game that I'll make a case for on either side. Otherwise, it's a pretty easy stay away game for me.
Yeah, someone in the chat said, where is it? Joe said Jack Hayes is out, actually. I don't see that title. Do you see Jackson Hayes is out?
I'm looking right now. I don't see that he's out. Yeah, I see Lonzo, Josh Hart, and Nah are the ones that I see.
If you have a link of something that you see, put it in the chat or something like that, because I don't see it here. But yeah, if you have a link, definitely let us know. So interesting. So you don't like anyone on the Spurs. I think DeMar DeRozan is a sneaky tournament play. I think he's a perfect pivot off of a guy like Chris Middleton, who is going to be really popular. He's in that small forward spot. He's right under Chris Middleton, $200 cheaper. He's had really good success against this Mavericks team in two games. He's done really well against them, and he's still under 8K. I hate paying over 8K for DeMar DeRozan. I struggle with on any slate in any matchup, but just under 8K, I can get on board. And he's a pivot. I told you already, I'm probably not playing Chris Middleton on this slate. That's gonna be chalk. I just end up fading because that's how I am. I'm gonna fade. I have to fade some of these chalk guys. He's probably gonna be where I take my stand. I think DeRozan is a really, really good pivot. It puts you in that same range where you can have a similar build and then just go to DeRozan over Middleton and leave that 200. And that might make you a little different in tournaments. So
that's why you win all the money. You make pivots like that. That's how you play tournaments.
That's how you got to play tournaments, right? And you can have it. So, Title, let's talk about this real quick because I don't really care. Well, we'll get to these games. We're not going to leave the people hanging. But so yesterday, I was shocked. I know you didn't play, so let me just take you through it. So Dennis Schroeder was like one of my favorite plays on the entire slate. He comes in at like 3% owned. And people still don't realize that when you have speed guys that attack the rim against like Brooklyn, it's like literally the perfect spot for any guy who attacks the rim at will, like a Schroeder does. Like he was 3% owned. He was going nuts and then gets injured and then gets kicked out. He plays through the injury like a hero, and then he gets kicked out in the third quarter. Him and Kyrie both, it ruined the stack. I went in the Discord. If you're not in the Discord, make sure you get in the Discord. I went in the Discord like right around once we got that THT news, which was like, I would say 20 minutes after slate lock, before the Lakers game. And I said to everyone, THT's in my core. I said, I'm stacking the Lakers game. This game it was the perfect spot. I couldn't believe that like people just like discount like certain things. They were switching Claxton onto Schroeder, and Schroeder was just burning him every time. Like it was unbelievable, but I still won't get it. People refuse to just make one little pivot. Everyone played the Toronto guys, and I was like, okay, but like if I can find some guys in the same range and just have a couple pivots. So my pivots were, I played Cantor and Drummond over Boucher. I knew everyone was going to play Boucher. So I had that center pairing, and Drummond was popular. But the pairing, I think, was a little unique because a lot of people played Boucher. And then Schroeder, just from a pricing standpoint, like everyone played OG. I didn't even have Gary Trent in my lineup, and I still put up like 359. And if I played Trent over Joe Ingles, I would have shipped. That's the difference. But people who say like, oh, you can't win if you don't have this guy, like Gary Trent went for like a almost 60 burger. I didn't have him in my main lineup, and I still one of my two main lineups. I had two lineups, and I still almost shipped. So it's like, I love it when we get like the stuff in Discord where people are like, hey, I'm dead. I'm going to sleep. It's like, no, you're not dead. Like you're never dead in NBA DFS, like not until all the games end.
And if you think you're dead before the last games and you know you have three guys that are going to be 60% and you have all snowflakes in the rest of your lineups, swap off all those guys and then play lower owned guys to get leverage on the field. So, yeah, like, I mean, that DeRozan pivot, the Middleton today makes a lot of sense. 3% Schroeder. I mean, 3%. Yeah, I mean, you take that anytime. That sounds, I'd be very tilted about an injury and then an ejection. You don't see that every day.
Well, what was funny is in my main lineup, I had Kyrie and Schroeder pair. I had those guys in my main lineup. So I was really tilted. Like that was my main build. And I had Schroeder and Kyrie paired because I just stacked the game. But
going to the Hayes thing that people were talking about, chat. It's Killian Hayes who's out. And it's not Jackson Hayes.
Not Jackson Hayes. Okay.
But that doesn't move the needle for me on anything.
All right. Well, from the Dallas side, I don't want anything. So I think we can, unless you like something from the Dallas side title.
Just Luka in this game's the only one. Okay. I like it more on FanDuel.
Okay, perfect. So let's move on. Let's talk about this Toronto Raptors New York Knicks game where I think we're still waiting on news about Kyle Lowry being the main news. Fred VanVleet already out. OG is resting today, so he's going to be out. Siakam is back in play today. Almost 9K, 8,800 Siakam's back in our life title. I can't wait for this slate. Going up against the Knicks. Knicks have been really very surprising this year how good they were, and we knew Thibodeau was going to try and push defense on this team, and I don't think I thought it was going to happen so quickly, where at least in the regular season, man, they really do a good job, in my opinion, of forcing the game to slow down a little bit, forcing teams to play their type of basketball. And they play their guys big minutes and play pretty solid defense. It's a better Knick team than I thought it was going to be. So definitely credit is to Tom Thibodeau probably for a lot of that. But what do you think from a DFS side here? Because some of these Raptors are in play. We just need the Lowry news.
Yeah, so the Lowry news is very big, and we're not sure if we're going to get it before lock. And it's hard to avoid the first 7 o'clock games with the Bucks, Cavs, and stuff. So very big news. You got to make sure you have a plan one way or another. if Lowry is in, he's 6.3K on FanDuel, as we mentioned earlier. I mean, 6.3K is way too cheap at a point guard position that isn't very good. So he would be a very good play over there. If he's out, guys like Boucher, Siakam, all they get a bigger boost. But I mean, like you said, Siakam's 8.8 on DraftKings. He's 8.9 on FanDuel. Like that's a hefty price for Siakam in this matchup against the Knicks that I don't love to target because they slow down the game. They play good defense. So this game I don't have much interest in. Again, Kyle Lowry, if he plays on FanDuel, it's 6.3. If he's out, I'll look at some of the secondary guys, Boucher and them. If I had to play one tournament guy on the Knicks, it would be Derrick Rose. 5K on DraftKings, 4.7 on FanDuel. I don't think he's going to be owned at all, really. 3% maybe. Played 26 minutes the past 2 games. And I mean, Derrick Rose is a solid player. He shoots the ball 26 minutes at 3% ownership. I would take that. So Rose in tournaments, Lowry if he plays on FanDuel. Otherwise, it's a pretty easy stay away game again.
Yeah, the good thing about Rose, I guess, is he doesn't really need the craziest game to get you there, right? He's 5K. Does he have upside in his, mid-20s, 25, 28, probably somewhere around there he's getting for minutes? Does he have upside? Yeah, he's going to shoot the ball like 10 times plus every game. So he could give you 30, right, Title? He could give you 30, 35, somewhere around there. So I think he's in play for tournaments for sure. It's more of a risky play, though. Other than that, from the Knicks, I don't know, did Julius Randle, I mean, he's almost 10K. I can't do Julius Randle for almost 10K. RJ Barrett, mid-6s, 6'5" on DraftKings. No, he could get you 30, 40. He could get you the 40 mark probably, but God, he's so scoring dependent. It's tough for me. I think the plays are on the Toronto side for the most part, and it's all going to depend on this Lowry news, how much I want to be invested on the Toronto side. So we need it. If we get this news before we get out of here, then we'll just circle back. Other than that, though, I think we just kind of stick with, obviously, the main plays. You know what I mean? You want to throw out Gary Trent again. You want to throw out Siakam if you want to pay that price tag. I don't think personally I'm going to pay the price tag today, regardless of who's in or out, just because he's 8,800. But, if you wanted to, he's definitely in play. And then Chris Boucher, either way, he's going to play. They need scoring. They need someone like him in the game. But we'll come back to this game if we get that news. Let's go on to the Indiana Pacers and the Memphis Grizzlies. Title, this is a spot where two teams I don't love really attacking, but no Miles Turner out. Sabonis is under 9K. I think Sabonis you could look to. I think he's in play. I think Malcolm Brogdon is cheap, but man, he is just so up and down, barely flashes upside. It's tough in tournaments because I feel like it's, one in every 6 games we get a decent upside game out of Brogdon. But he's 6'6". So what are you doing with these Pacers? And then turn it over to the Grizzlies.
Yeah, so I think this is going to be a lower owned game, and it has the highest total on the slate and some reasonably priced players too. So if I had to pick one game to game stack in tournaments today, it would be this game on DraftKings. And that's, like I said, the pace, the pricing. Dylan Brooks, 5.3K on DraftKings, I like. Jovel at 7.4 without Miles Turner down there. Anytime he gets 30 minutes, I think he can absolutely dominate in this matchup. I think he's going to be lower owned, so I like him 7.4 on DraftKings. On FanDuel at 7.5, I like him in tournaments too, where he'll be definitely lower owned with other cheaper options. John Morant, I have not played this guy a lot at all this year. 7K, but he's going to go very, very under-owned, I think. 38 minutes last game, 31 minutes the game before, but we know he has the minutes upside. 7K, he's a good basketball player. He hasn't got it done as much this year, but it's DFS. You only need him to do well in one game. High total. I like him for 7K at lower ownership. Sabonis, 8.7. I'm definitely fine going back there. 9.1 on FanDuel. I don't want to go there. I don't think. Power forward, you only can play 2. Bobby Portis is a very good play. I probably won't go Sabonis. I'd rather go up to Zion if I had the money. Other than that, though, Dylan Brooks, Jovel, Morant, Sabonis is where I'm mainly keeping my ownership. Brogdon, like you said, I mean, he's just been too bad for me to keep clicking that button. And I guess I got to mention one more slow-mo, Kyle Anderson, 6.1K, but man, he has been very, very solid this year. I mean, his last 4 games, 36, 43, 40, 30. I mean, he's performing and he's getting solid 30 minutes. So I like him, 6.1K. People don't like paying that price tag for him. So I think it's a very good tournament game. Cash games, maybe a one-off or something, but the slate seems pretty condensed now with the value we have at certain places.
Yeah. So, starting off with Ja Morant, like, I really think that injury to his ankle at the beginning of the year, when, man, he looked so good the first, 2 games or whatever it was before he had that ankle injury against Brooklyn where, man, it looked really bad. Once he came back from that, he just, to me, he hasn't looked the same. And this is just inexcusable. Okay, so against Atlanta and New York, he took 18 and 13 shots. But then against Miami, Philadelphia, Minnesota, in 28, 29, and 29 minutes, he took 7, 8, and 8 shots. What?
Yeah.
What if Ja Morant in 30 minutes isn't taking double-digit shots in a game? There's just something wrong. He's not as aggressive. Why is he not as aggressive? He should be pushing the 15 to 20 mark in shots every single game. I don't understand. The ball's in his hands whenever he wants the ball in his hands. This dude, and I'm not talking jump shots. I'm talking shots that, he's perfected, like the floater and the jump stop bunny. Those are the shots where he perfects. He gets into the lane and he just forces people. And if they go at him, he just passes the ball for an easy dunk or layup. But that is inexcusable to take 7, 8, and 8 shots playing 30 minutes if you're Ja Morant. Coaches must, I don't know how they're not just yelling at him for a game like that, because that's ridiculous. But I do agree, 7K, you're starting to get the okay, can Ja get a ceiling game where he gives you that random 50 burger? He doesn't do it very often, but could he? Yeah, he could. It's possible. Brogdon, I feel like it's Malcolm Brogdon. Ever since we had that fight with Big T, I think on this live show 2 months ago, Big T's been right more than I have, because Malcolm Brogdon, very little upside. So I'm probably going to stay away. I do agree with you from a stack side, though, Title. If you look at all the price tags on this game, I love targeting games when you just look at it and you say, okay, Sabonis is 8.7K, but then 7.4 for Joe Val, 7K for Ja, Brogdon 6.6. So we're getting a bunch of Dylan Brooks at 5.3. I could get on the Dylan Brooks train for 5.3. I could get on that. So you're getting all different kind of price tiers. It makes it easy if you wanted to take 2 or 3 from Memphis and pair it with your favorite pacer, because that's probably what I would do, honestly, is I would take 2 to 3 Memphis guys because of their price tags, and then pair it with either Sabonis, a Brogdon, something like that in my stack. So I don't.
I got one more guy for you. I'll ask you. I mean, this is the chat brought him up, and I did overglance him a little bit. More of a tournament play than cash games. But what about Brandon Clark? 4.4K on DraftKings. I know Big T always hypes on athletic bigs against the Pacers. I mean, Brandon Clark's definitely the athletic big that you're looking for. 4.4K. I mean, his minutes, why in cash games, his minutes isn't as stable as I want. He's in the low 20s, but I mean, he's a very athletic player, and we like to, when Big T always preaches it, athletic bigs against Indiana. So 4.4K. What do you think of him?
Yeah, I think in tournaments you can definitely take a shot with a Brandon Clark at 4.4. Didn't even see him down there. He's just been kind of. It's because he's had a rough stretch too, and other guys had a rough stretch. The minutes have started to kind of go a little lower, I think, than he was seeing in the beginning of the year. But if he's getting 20, 24 minutes, and maybe if he's doing well, they give him a few extra minutes, I think in tournaments, you're making multiple lineups. You could throw Brandon Clark in there, even just as a one-off play, right? You don't have to stack this game to take a shot at 4.4K with Brandon Clark. It all comes down to minutes, right? If he gets it, he could smash in the minutes.
I'd probably make a rule to only play one of Joval or him because we've seen Joval get into foul trouble before too. And if he gets into foul trouble and runs into 28 minutes, he's gonna smash at 5% or whatever. So yeah, I mean, I got to give the shout out to the chat. I missed him, glanced over him, but I think that's a pretty good tournament play.
Yeah. It's definitely in play for sure at that price tag for sure. Let's move on though. Let's talk about the Chicago Bulls, Minnesota Timberwolves, and Zach LaVine. We got to start here because I wrote it in the Discord chat the next morning after the game against Toronto, where I didn't know that Zach LaVine had the game that he showed me against Toronto, where he was like the point guard and like he was just doling out assists to people like easy. Like I didn't know honestly he had that type of game in him to do, because all we think about when we think of Zach LaVine is the next game against Atlanta where he took 31 shots and he was the scorer of the group. But I was really impressed by that game against Toronto. I mean, he was just carving them up, scoring, but like assisting, like I've really not seen at all. So that was nice to see. Now he gets a friendly matchup against Minnesota after going for 57 and 69 fantasy points, putting up a 50-point burger against Atlanta. Like, what do we do here with Zach LaVine? Price went up.
Yeah, I still like Zach LaVine. I mean, he's getting, like, you can tell when guys are starting to feel themselves, getting going. And I've always been a Zach LaVine guy. I mean, he can flat out score. He's a very good basketball player. The problem has just been in DFS is the peripheral stats have always been a concern, but the ball's been in his hands more. I mean, it's hard not to like him after the past two games we've seen in the talent. And I don't even think he's going to be very high owned too, because the price did come up a little bit. People might think it's chasing other options. So give me Zach LaVine in tournaments, 8-6 on DraftKings, 8-3 on FanDuel. I'm definitely all aboard that train. And then, and then the rest of the game, though, it's like, I don't have interest on any of the Minnesota side, really. Towns at 10-8 if you want to spend up, I guess, since you'll have the money, but center's pretty good. And yeah, I mean, they're better plays on DraftKings like Vooch, Kobe White, Sato. I mean, they're in play, but Zach LaVine's my favorite bull. And there's other good spots with the value, the Bucks, Cleveland, all that. I'm not going to load up on this game, but Zach LaVine is my favorite, though.
Yeah, Steve Anthony in the chat says Zach LaVine at 2%, 4% for Cat. Wow. I think Zach LaVine is a very strong play here again, going up against his old team. Another guy that you didn't mention, though, D'Angelo Russell, 6.5K on DraftKings. In the minutes, they went up against Boston. We finally saw close to 30 minutes, took 18 shots, and he's still under 7K. I just don't – people, if you don't know, D'Angelo Russell, if this dude gets a minutes increase again for this game and he gets over 30, I mean, this guy could give you 50 fantasy points, 60 fantasy points. That's the type of upside a guy like D'Angelo Russell has. Also, though, he has the risk of giving you a terrible shooting performance and taking, he'll still take 15 to 20 shots, but if he doesn't make a lot of those shots, yeah, he's going to have a not so great fantasy game probably. But that's because he's very like he needs to score. Like that's his thing. But at 6.5K on DraftKings, you can take that risk in a tournament. You're not paying 7.5, which is normally probably averaged around where his price hangs out at 7.5, 8K. You're not paying that. You're paying 6.5. This is a low price for D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah, I don't mind that call in tournaments at all. Definitely wouldn't do it in cash games. I mean, he's the ultimate GPP player. He'll chuck. If he's hot, he'll keep chucking more and more. Yeah, I mean, the minutes are the big question, but I won't have any exposure, but it makes a lot of sense in tournaments, though. On FanDuel, I wouldn't. FanDuel, he's 7-1. That's a little too much, I think, for me at shooting guard. But yeah, I like the price on DraftKings. Good tournament play.
I think if he gets in that starting lineup title, I think we see over 30 minutes.
Yeah, you definitely could be right. It's going to be one of the guys that I'm going to be starring and focusing on tonight, seeing if you made that. Him and DeRozan, those are your 2 calls so far.
I gotta make sure I get those guys in my lineup now. So Corey, you know what? He's asking for a core tonight. Normally Sundays is my off day from the content for NBA, but if you're in the NBA Discord, I will drop my core in there because I'm gonna play anyways. So make sure you get in there after we get off this show. I'll make sure I drop my core for tonight's slate in the Discord. So get in there after we're done. If you're not a member at Run Pure Sports, become a member. Try it out. You can join. We got weekly passes, monthly passes. Check it out. See what we got going on behind the paywall and in the Discord, because the Discord is really where it's at. That's where we get all the good chatting, all the nuggets for these slates. MLB, NBA. Title was doing MMA. They were that slate locked early yesterday, Title, and you guys were talking about it all day. So everything's firing over there. PGA, what's happening with PGA, by the way? Did we get a winner yet?
Last time I checked, Decky was rolling away with it, but that was before the show. I haven't checked.
No, he's supposed to fall off. Everyone on Twitter told me that he's supposed to have a terrible performance and yell at his putter and throw it or whatever he does. Come on. So I'm happy for Hideki. I'm really happy for him. He's a guy I like watching as a golfer. I don't watch golf a ton, but he's someone who I roster a decent amount. Did not have a ton of them here normally, but he is normally a guy I do roster. So I'm happy he took something down, or hopefully takes something down. And hopefully Jordan Spieth was right next to him. I hope, because I did play a lot of Jordan Spieth this week. So
we did get a good amount of news that we got Kyle Lowry is now probable.
Okay.
I like Kyle Lowry on FanDuel at 6.3K, like we mentioned. And then the Cavs are going to start Delly, Okoro, Dean Wade, Love, and Hartenstein. So yeah, Delly's definitely going to be in play at that cheap price tag on both sites. Okoro is definitely going to be in play. Dean Wade, yeah, all the Cavs guys are going to be in play. I'm still not going to be on the Love train as much, but yeah, Delly definitely going to be one of the better value plays.
All right, so real quick, because we've only got a couple more games to talk about, but just really quickly, I'm going to hit on the starting lineup. So with Delly starting, he's tough not to play on DraftKings, right? He's minimum price. These are he's 3.4K. So whatever. He's going to get a ton of run. The other guy, though, right behind him, I assume, is Quinn Cook, who should also get a decent amount of minutes. So if you're looking for a pivot, I think he's a direct pivot right there. And everyone's going to click Delly's name for 200 less. Quinn Cook's right behind him, and he should get a decent amount of run. So those two guys for sure. We got Okoro, Wade, Love, and Hartenstein. Interesting, they're starting Wade, Love, and Hartenstein all together with this group, just because they don't have two Okoro isn't a scorer, and neither is Delly. But I guess they just don't really have much else to start here. Title. They refuse to play CD, huh? What did CD do? Because he was playing minutes in the beginning of the year, and all of a sudden he got on the wrong end of the coach or something, because they have not given him a lot of run. His minutes have been going down.
In a spot like this in the beginning of the year, he would be playing 40 minutes the game. He was playing high 30s almost every game, it seemed. I have no clue. I think my favorite
the first guy they would start when someone would be out. He would be the first guy in the starting lineup when one guy was out at the beginning of the year. Now he can't even get a start when multiple guys, 4 guys are out, and he can't even get a start.
Yeah, he must have done something to the coach. I don't know.
I don't know.
My favorite tournament play in this game, I think, is Taurean Prince, though, because he's coming off the bench. His ownership's going to be lower. And I've been watching more Cavs games recently than I usually do. I'm not sure why, but Taurean Prince he's shooting the ball really, really well as of late, and they're going to need him to score. He's going to chuck it regardless whether the game's out of hand or not. I think Taurean Prince is a very good sneaky turn. I'm not sure how sneaky. I haven't looked at updated ownership and stuff, but it's coming off the bench. He's 5K. I like Taurean Prince in tournaments.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I think my guys are just going to be those guards that I talked about. Maybe maybe take a shot on like a Broderick Thomas and hope he gets some run. Like he's 3K. Like I'm just trying to look at other guys. Did we get Dotson officially? No, he's still questionable. So if Dotson was out, maybe I'd look a little more like a Broderick Thomas in tournaments. If you're playing like multiple lineups too, that's not like a one lineup play for sure. If you're playing one lineup, I think it's Hartenstein. I think it's Delhi. Maybe you could take a shot on, Okoro, but I think it's those two guys first for me. Title, let's talk about these later games. Unless you want to hit on Kyle Lowry real quick, because we did get that news. I mean, I'm assuming on FanDuel he's a cash play, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only way I'm looking at is 6'3". I mean, maybe not a lock. I mean, he's a very strong play in cash for sure. 6'3" is too cheap.
Yeah, you're getting him at like what, a $1,200 discount, maybe like a $1,700 discount, like depending on how he was playing on FanDuel. So like he's an 8K player at, probably. So yeah, you're getting a nice discount on him. I for sure think he's a fine play here. They wouldn't be starting him, I don't think, if he wasn't ready to run out there and play decent minutes. Let's talk about Detroit and the LA Clippers. Detroit is going to be without Jeremy Grant, I'm pretty sure. But everyone else, it looks like, outside of where's the news? Killian Hayes is out. That was official.
Yeah. That's what they were. Yeah, I looked it up. Killian Hayes injury management listed out Sunday.
Okay. So Killian Hayes is out. Jeremy Grant is out. All right.
Yep.
I didn't see that. I skipped over that. So with that Killian Hayes news,
5:30 the news.
Okay, so with that Killian Hayes news, what does that do to the rest of these guards for you? It's a guy who's getting what, like 17 to 21 minutes, somewhere around there the last two games. What does that do for these guards?
Yeah, it makes Dennis Smith and Corey Joseph in play for sure. I mean, they're going to need them to run them out. They're cheap, 3.5K for Dennis Smith. Corey Joseph's 4.4K. I like both of them, and I think they're both very much in play on DraftKings. This whole game is it's priced better on DraftKings than it is FanDuel outside of Zubac and Marcus Morris. So, yeah, this game isn't very interesting to me on FanDuel outside those two. Like, I mean, yeah, I'm not even going to mention anyone else. Paul George. Outside of Corey Joseph and Dennis Smith, I don't have the interest in anybody else. I'm not going to play the bigs. There's just no need to go to Detroit on this slate outside Kojo and Dennis Smith. But on the Clippers side, without Kawhi, I mean, they've got very good prices on DraftKings. Luke Kennard's 3.7K. Paul George is only 8.4K. Rondo is 3.1K. So this is where I got a question for you. Would you rather go Rondo at 3.1 today, or would you rather go Delhi at 3.4?
I mean, I think it's probably Delhi, right? Rondo is still, I think he's going to be available, but I think he's still technically questionable. I would just take the safer route there. Okay. Yeah, so I would just take the safer route. Yeah, go for it. Talk about him.
Yeah, if Rondo plays, 3.1K, I think, I guess my internet a little cutting out a little bit, but if Rondo plays though, 3.1K, I mean, he, even in 19 minutes or on the 8th, he put up 35 DraftKings points in 19 minutes. The guy just does it all. And yeah, I mean, I think he's a very interesting tournament play, but Delhi's definitely the cash play. Marcus Morris, 4.8K. Zubac at 5.1K. Reggie Jackson, 5.1K on DraftKings. I also like that price tag a lot. How I'll rank them, since I do have a lot. The Clippers are one of the best spots on the slate today without Kawhi, and they lock last, so you'll have the roster flexibility. I'll rank them on DraftKings: Paul George, Luke Kennard, and then Reggie Jackson for me on DraftKings. On FanDuel, it would be Zubac, and then Marcus Morris, because the Zubac, Marcus Morris, Paul George is how I'll rank them on FanDuel.
Yeah, so I think, first of all, from this game, Dennis Smith Jr. is also questionable, and we might not get that news until 9 Who knows when we get that news? So if he were to be out as well, and we get this Detroit team with no Killian Hayes, that's official, and no Dennis Smith Jr., then it's like, okay, Frank Jackson's probably going to get a few more minutes. Maybe they give Saban Lee a little more run. Corey Joseph's already getting a ton of minutes. So that would make them the guards plays more interesting to me. But I think the Clippers are where I want to look for guards. Terrence Mann, Reggie Jackson, both guys I have interest in. I like Terrence Mann a lot more. This was a guy, me and Big T, I think it was on Friday, we were talking about him in the Discord. We really liked him. It's in a bunch of our cores. We were telling people to get on him. Dude, he's good. I just think 4.9K is still, a nice price tag with all these guys out. Pat Bev's out. Kawhi's out. So I think Terrence Mann is in for another big night. And Reggie Jackson is a decent play as well at 5.1K. So that's kind of where I'm looking from the Clippers side. From the Detroit side, I still kind of am waiting on some of this news because they do have a lot of bodies. I will say Mason Plumlee is a really scary roster, and if you're making one team, I wouldn't play him. Probably if you're making 3 teams, I wouldn't play him. If you're making like 20 teams, 5.5K, if he got 25 to 28 minutes, he could give you a really good game here against the Clippers. It's just all on those minutes. If he plays 18, he's probably not going to give you the game you want. But if he gets you that extra 8 to 10 minutes and gives you 25 to 28 minutes here at 5,500, he has 40-point upside. So if in tournaments, I think Mason Plumlee is okay to take a shot on here. But again, it is a very risky play. But that's about it from the Detroit side. I don't want to go too crazy with some of these guys. I mean, like Sadiq Bey at 5K, like you could look there, but I don't know. His price has gone up. I might stay off of him. Let's move on. Let's talk about the last
I just want to add one more point because Dennis Smith is questionable. I mean, this is a really good game to target, so you might have more than just one roster position to change if he was ruled out and you had him in your lineup. But if he wasn't, the easy pivot is just going to Saban Lee at 3.3K, who would then be the primary backup ball handler for Detroit. So if you play Dennis Smith, I think he is a good play. I think he's going to be lower owned because of his questionable status. If he's out, easy pivot to Saban Lee, who he's shown to be good when he gets minutes. So I just want to mention that since he is questionable.
Yeah, Captain's giving me crap in the chat because I apparently jinxed Hideki and he drank in the water with his ball. Listen, Captain, all right, I'm sorry. What can I say? I did say I didn't have any Hideki this week. I was just happy that he was winning, but I didn't have any. So it's working out in my favor either way because I didn't have any. So either way, I'll be fine with it. I still hope he wins, though. Yes, I am man over Jackson. Bobby in the chat asked me that. So just like last slate, man, to me, no matter which way this game goes, I think he has the chance to close in a blowout, and I think he has the chance to close in a close game. That's why I like Terrence Mann. He has both those ends, where I think Reggie Jackson, if the game is a blowout, he might not close. So I like Terrence Mann for those reasons. And I think he's honestly a little better of a player, to be honest with everyone. Let's see here. Drunk JSU greater than JSU. Thank you, Mick Longrod. Appreciate it. JSU did not. We don't want to go back to that day. That'll be the only time you ever see me drunk on air. I will be smarter with my bets with Tony. Never again will I bet if he wins $1 million, I will do X, because now I know that's actually possible when he plays those damn things. So, geez, Big T winning $1 million, getting me to drink on air. Who runs better? Let's talk about this Miami Heat game, though. Portland Trailblazers. Title, I like this game. I like the Heat side. Victor Oladipo's out. Hero is questionable. To me, I think this is a great Bam spot. Bam, even Jimmy Butler. I think both these guys are really interesting tournament spend-ups. What do you think about the Heat side first, and then talk to me about the Portland side?
Yeah, you're higher on the Heat side, it looks like, than I am. The only guy I really have interest in playing is Jimmy Butler. 9K on DraftKings, 9.3K on FanDuel. I'm just always a Butler over Bam guy when they're both in. Maybe that's so probably a little biased in that. If they're similar price tag, I'm gonna click Jimmy's name over Bam's name. And with so many other good spots on today's slate now, I don't think there's a need to have more than one or two guys max in this game. I'll let you talk about it more since it sounds like you like it more. Jimmy Butler for me, though, is the only guy. Nobody on Portland for me.
Yeah, I think this is a perfect matchup for guys like Bam and Jimmy, where I could see big games coming from them. I probably would only play one, though, in a lineup. I don't think I would play both of them together just because, I mean, I do think they could both get there, I guess, but I think it's harder to ask in this spot. If I was playing like 20 teams, though, I would definitely have like one team with Jimmy and Bam just in case. But I think for the most part, I'll probably choose one depending on my roster builds because Bam is, I'm pretty sure, only center eligible on DraftKings.
That is correct.
So it depends on who I play at center because if I play like, Mo Bamba and Hartenstein, like I'm not going to be able to play Bam. Maybe I go Jimmy in that build. So we'll see depending on what I like from center. But I definitely think those two guys are in play. Also, without Victor Oladipo and Tyler Hero questionable, if we got news in our favor, I think that really bumps up a guy like Goran Dragic at 4.7. And I think you could just take a shot on him anyways because he is priced to a point where at 25 to 27 minutes, he is in play on this slate in tournaments. He has upside. He hasn't had the best of games recently, but he still has upside at that price tag. And if Hero is out too, that's another nice bump, in my opinion, directly for a guy like Goran Dragic, who they're going to need to ask to be way more involved, especially with the second unit. So
I like that call.
Give me some Goran Dragic at 4.7K. I think he's a really sneaky play. Matchup is perfect for a guy like him too against these Portland guards. From the Portland side, I think if I have to take somebody, I mean, I don't like the centers here with both those guys in. I'm going to stay away. Norman Powell's under 6K, but like it's really just CJ or Dame for me, I guess. And I don't know if I would I would have to be Emma Mean probably to get here, but I think it'd be CJ just because he's cheaper. But I don't know. Do you have a preference?
Mine would be CJ for the $1,500 for sure too.
Yeah, I think so. So that's it. All right, Title. We talked about all the games. I think we hit on most of the news pretty much anyways. If you guys have any questions, we're going to be hanging out in Discord. I got to get my, lineups all set up, and then I'll put my core plays in Discord. But Title, you want to give out what's your play of the name, Title? What's that play called?
The SO play of the day?
The SO play of the day, yes. And that was from a MMA fight a while ago.
Yeah, that was one of the corner men kept saying SO to his fighter, and Daniel Cormier, the announcer, DC, he just kept talking about it. It was like a 10-minute thing. Big T was in Discord. Discord gets lit during the fight, so everyone just kept saying it, and it stuck around at RPS. So SO play of the day. Yep.
All right. Let's see here. AF6 retired. I did not sleep under the desk with my dog. Listen, we slept on the floor right next to my desk. Okay, get it right. Title, give us the SO play of the day.
Yeah, I mean, salary isn't going to be an issue today, so I'm not going to go really, really cheap. I'm going to go to Zach LaVine again in this matchup. I think he gets overlooked in the mid tier. I think he's going to be around 15% or less in tournaments too, and he gets a great matchup against Minnesota. No one can guard him. Get a little revenge narrative too if you want to throw that in there. I think Zach LaVine keeps it up. He's looking very, very good. I'm going to ride the train, and I don't think ownership's going to be too high.
All right, so you like some Zach LaVine here. My play is actually going to be from that same game. I'm giving out D'Angelo Russell. He's coming in at under 2% owned. Whoo! All right, I'm taking a shot. Give me D'Angelo Russell, 6.5K on DraftKings. I don't know what my play is called. You guys can figure that out for the next show. But
sleeping under the chair play of the day.
Sleeping under the chair play of the day, I guess, is going to be the name of my my play. So D'Angelo Russell will be that. We try and give some nice low on calls here. The guy's going to be under 2%. You know, we're not giving you the 50% own plays. That's not how we roll here. So Title, you gave Zach LaVine. And I gave D'Angelo Russell. Those are our plays of the day. All right, guys, with that and all of our likes just disappearing like that, we're going to get out of here as well. For me, JSU, Titletown, we'll see you guys later.
Good luck, everybody.